For as long as I can remember, the compost heap has been a cornerstone of the garden. We are taught that it is the right thing to do, a virtuous cycle of returning our kitchen waste back to the soil, and it is. But let us be honest with ourselves, the traditional open-air compost pile is not without its considerable frustrations. It can become a rather untidy affair, a slow-moving mountain of scraps that seems to take an eternity to transform into that lovely, dark, friable material we all crave for our borders and vegetable patches. It requires a good deal of turning with a fork, a task that can be quite strenuous to keep it properly aerated and cooking along. The smell is another matter entirely. A perfectly balanced compost heap with just the right mix of green and brown materials should smell sweet and earthy. However, reality is often a bit different. An accidental overabundance of wet kitchen peelings or lawn clippings can quickly turn the pile into a slimy, anaerobic mess that gives off a rather unpleasant odor. This sour smell is not only disagreeable for you as you work in your garden, but it can also be a point of contention with neighbors, turning your noble recycling efforts into a local nuisance. It is a delicate balancing act that many gardeners struggle to get right. Then there are the uninvited guests. A pile of decomposing food is, quite frankly, an open invitation to all sorts of creatures. Rats, mice, and foxes are drawn to the promise of an easy meal, turning your compost heap into their personal larder. They will dig and burrow, scattering the contents and creating a dreadful mess that you are then left to clear up. This can be deeply disheartening, not to mention a potential health concern. The constant battle to keep pests away from the compost pile is a significant chore that many of us could do without, detracting from the simple joy of gardening. Ultimately, the traditional compost pile demands a fair bit of space, knowledge, and physical effort to manage correctly. You need the right location, the right materials, and the right technique to make it work efficiently. For many gardeners, especially those with smaller plots or those living in more urban settings, a large, potentially smelly, and pest-attracting heap is simply not a practical option. These challenges often lead people to give up on composting altogether, which is a terrible shame. But what if there was a simpler, cleaner, and more direct way to enrich our soil? The real magic of decomposition happens not in a towering heap, but within the soil itself. The earth beneath our feet is teeming with a vast and tireless workforce of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and countless other tiny life forms. When you bury your kitchen scraps directly into the ground, you are delivering this organic matter straight to where these microbes live and work. Unlike an open-air pile, which is exposed to drying winds and fluctuating temperatures, the soil provides a stable, moist, and insulated environment. This consistency allows the microbial population to thrive and get to work immediately, breaking down the scraps with remarkable speed and efficiency. Joining this microscopic army are the true heroes of the soil, the earthworms. Worms are nature's master cultivators. When they discover a buried treasure of vegetable peelings and coffee grounds, they move in with enthusiasm. They tunnel through the scraps, aerating the surrounding soil as they go and pulling the organic matter deeper into the ground. As they consume the material, their digestive systems transform it into nutrient-rich worm castings, which are one of the most wonderful soil amendments you could ever hope for. This process is far quicker and more thorough than what happens on the surface of a slow-moving compost pile. This underground method is a far more direct and contained process. In a traditional pile, many nutrients can be lost to the air or washed away by heavy rain, a process known as leaching. When you bury your scraps, all those valuable nutrients are released directly into the soil matrix, right where plant roots can access them. The decomposition happens in a closed system, so to speak. The nutrients are held in place by the soil particles and the very microbes that are breaking the scraps down, ensuring that very little goes to waste. It is a wonderfully efficient and targeted way of feeding your garden. Think of it as setting a table for your soil's inhabitants. By burying the food, you are protecting it from the elements and concentrating it in one place, making it incredibly easy for the worms and microbes to do their job. They work faster because the conditions are perfect for them, dark, damp, and undisturbed. This rapid breakdown means you can process more of your kitchen waste over the course of a season without the long wait associated with a traditional compost heap. You are simply harnessing the natural power of the soil's ecosystem in a more direct and effective manner. The method for burying your compost, often called trench composting or the dig and drop method, is wonderfully simple and requires no special equipment beyond a good spade or a trowel. The first step is to identify a suitable spot in your garden. This could be an empty section of a vegetable bed that you are preparing for a future crop, a space between established shrubs in a border, or even a large container. The key is to choose a spot where you plan to grow something eventually, so the enriched soil can be put to good use by plant roots seeking out nourishment. Once you have your spot, you simply dig a hole or a trench. A good rule of thumb is to aim for a depth of about 10 to 12 inches, or roughly the depth of your spade's blade. This is crucial. Burying the scraps this deep ensures they are well below the surface, which is the secret to avoiding any issues with smells or pests. A curious fox or the neighbor's dog is highly unlikely to detect and dig for food that is buried a foot underground. The soil acts as a natural, impenetrable barrier, keeping your garden tidy and free from unwanted visitors. Next, you add your kitchen waste. You can put in all the usual things: vegetable peelings, fruit cores, tea bags, coffee grounds, and eggshells. It is best to avoid cooked foods, meat, and dairy, just as you would with a traditional compost pile, as these can be more problematic. Chop up any larger items like cabbage stalks or broccoli stems to give them a head start on decomposition. Once your scraps are in the hole, simply backfill it with the soil you dug out, tamping it down gently with your foot or the back of the spade. And that is it. Your work is done. To make this a sustainable long-term practice, it is wise to rotate where you bury your scraps. In a vegetable garden, you might work your way down a bed, digging a new trench each week next to the previous one. Over a season, you will have enriched the entire length of the bed. The following year, you can plant your hungriest crops, like courgettes or tomatoes, directly into that beautifully improved soil. In an ornamental border, you can simply choose a different spot each time between plants. This rotation ensures you are continually improving different areas of your garden soil, year after year. One of the most significant, yet often overlooked advantages of burying organic matter is its remarkable effect on soil moisture. As the kitchen scraps break down, they transform into humus, a dark, spongy material that is a marvel of nature. This humus acts like a sponge, absorbing and holding onto water far more effectively than unimproved soil can. By creating these pockets of rich organic matter directly in your beds, you are building a more drought-resistant garden from the ground up. During dry spells, the plants growing in or near these enriched zones will have access to a hidden reservoir of moisture, making them more resilient and reducing your need to water. This method delivers nutrients with unparalleled precision. When you spread compost from a pile over the surface of a bed, you are feeding the soil, but it is a broadcast approach. By burying scraps, you are creating concentrated pockets of fertility right in the root zone. As the material decomposes, it slowly releases a steady supply of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and essential micronutrients. Plant roots are opportunistic and will naturally grow towards these nutrient-rich zones, developing stronger and more extensive root systems. This targeted feeding helps plants establish quickly and grow with more vigor and health. The sheer simplicity of this method cannot be overstated. A traditional compost pile requires a careful balance of greens, nitrogen-rich materials like kitchen scraps, and browns such as cardboard or dry leaves. It needs regular turning to stay aerated and monitoring to ensure it has the right moisture level. Burying your scraps eliminates all of this fuss. You do not need to worry about ratios or turning schedules. You simply dig, drop your scraps in, and cover them up. It is a task that takes mere minutes and fits easily into any gardening routine, freeing up your time and energy for more enjoyable pursuits. Furthermore, this method is discreet. There is no large, sometimes unsightly structure taking up valuable garden space. Once you have filled the hole, there is no visible evidence of your composting activity. This makes it an ideal solution for those with small gardens where space is at a premium. It is also perfect for gardeners in communities with strict homeowner association rules that might prohibit traditional compost bins or piles. You can be enriching your soil and reducing your household waste without anyone ever knowing, maintaining a neat and tidy garden aesthetic while secretly building its fertility from within. This wonderfully straightforward technique is not just for those with sprawling allotments or large country gardens. In fact, it is perhaps even more revolutionary for gardeners working with limited space. If you have a small urban garden, a courtyard, or even just a few large containers on a patio, you can adopt this method, A small hole dug in a raised bed or a deep pot is all you need to start the process. You can bury a small handful of scraps at a time, continually feeding the soil that your containerized plants depend on, which can quickly become depleted of nutrients. It is a way to close the loop, even on the smallest scale. The long-term benefits for your soil's health are profound. Each time you bury a batch of scraps, you're not just providing a short-term nutrient boost, you are fundamentally improving the soil's structure. The activity of the worms and microbes creates channels and aggregates, making the soil lighter and less prone to compaction. This improved structure allows for better air circulation and drainage, which is just as important for healthy roots as nutrients are. Over several seasons of rotating your burial spots, you will gradually transform heavy, clay, or sandy soil into a rich, dark, and loamy medium that is a joy to work with. This method represents a shift in thinking, from composting as a separate laborious task, to soil building as an integrated effortless part of gardening. It requires less effort, creates no mess, and solves the common problems of pests and odors. You are feeding the soil directly, strengthening the natural ecosystem that supports your plants and reducing the amount of waste that leaves your home. It is a win for you, a win for your garden, and a win for the environment. The simplicity of the process makes it accessible to everyone, from the complete beginner to the seasoned expert. I wholeheartedly encourage you to give it a try. The next time you find yourself with a bowl of vegetable peelings, resist the urge to walk them to the compost bin or, worse, the rubbish bin. Instead, take them out into the garden with a trowel. Dig a little hole, drop them in, and cover them back up. It is a small act, but it is one that will pay you back tenfold in the form of healthier plants, more resilient soil, and a simpler, more enjoyable gardening life. Start today, and watch as this simple change quietly revolutionizes the earth beneath your feet.